Good morning, Stampers. Hi, this is Tina with Tina's Crafty Ink Spot. I know, it's been a while since I've done a video. I went to On Stage, which is an event that Stampin' Up! Has twice a year for its demonstrators. So between prepping for that and getting home with all the new exciting news coming out, including, look, the new catalog. I can't open it for you, but I can show you the cover. I have mine, I put plastic over mine because I have it spiral bound because I have to have everything in it, so I wear it out. But anyway, you guys are going to love the new catalog. So many new changes, even down to how the graphics are done, so you can easily see the colors and the embossing folder designs and everything like that. You're gonna love it. This catalog will go live in June for customers. If you'd like to be able to order in May, along with demonstrators, we get to pre-order. Join as a hobby demonstrator. Get your own discount. You don't have to sell, do anything. If you would like more information on that, please feel free to contact me. You're going to love everything in it. So this starts June. Those of you that have ordered from me in the last 6 months, I've already got this catalog being sent to you. You should be receiving it, I would say, close toward the middle to the end of May before it goes live. If you don't get one by the last week of May, and you think you're on my list, please contact me. I will make sure you get one. I cannot order them all yet for myself even, but I'm having them directly shipped to you. So if you have made an order with me within the last 6 months, you'll get this new catalog and you're going to love it. Look, I'm already starting tabs. So anyway, to move on with that was exciting news for that. On Stage was wonderful. A lot of new things to be sharing with you in the next couple months. But you know what? Today I needed to just stamp, just create. And I wanted to play with this fun background. Now, it's Brusho colors? Brusho. Alright, if somebody knows the correct pronunciation of it, let me know. I call it Brusho. It's probably Brusho. Anyway, we're going to do a little bit of Brusho work, and I wanted to lace some gold in here, and I'm going to show you how I did that. It just makes for a really quick background, and you just can stamp over it, and it's fun. I still love doing anything that has to do with mixed media. I know, you can get papers that have all these fun colors, and you just stamp on them and go, but what would it be if you didn't have ink all over you first thing in the morning? Alrighty, and I apologize that I did not have my phone muted, and of course, it's dinging away at me. So let's get started. And this is a really basic card. We're going to start with an A2 card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4 to create your base. The frame here is from the Stitched Rectangles. And I went ahead and I'm sure I cut it out to save you guys some time. And how I created the frame, which is this frame, is I took the largest stitched rectangle and I nested, not the second one, but the third one into it, like this. Run it through your Big Shot and you end up with a frame. You'll also have an insert piece which you can use on another project. So that's just how simple the frame is. So we'll set that aside. And then for the stamp set, we're going to use this Dandelion Wishes. You know, it's simple, but it's elegant. And dandelions to me have a special place because my dad and I used to spend time in the yard, and we'd pull them, and of course, your parents would tell you blow on it and make a wish. Well, and as an adult, you learn when you do that, you just spread your weeds all through your grass. I'm just saying. But something we did as children, so it was a special stamp set to me when it came out because my father was very special. So we're just going to use this image right here. And for the greeting, this wish, all I used was, I will have a link to all the supplies used in this at the bottom of this tutorial. This is from the Well Written dies. I love any word dies. I love words. I like when they're popped up or embossed or anything like that. So all I used was, where's the wish? Got to read it upside down and backward. And I'm not even seeing where, I must have it off. I must have it out here already. Oh, I do. Sorry. See, trying to be all organized, and all I do is throw myself off. I took the wishes die, and all I did is trim it to get the word wish. So let's get started. So what I did is we have a piece of watercolor paper. And on my watercolor paper, I cut it just a hair smaller than my frame. So that'll make your watercolor piece about, I'm going to say it's about 3 3/4 by 5. And that way it fits underneath your frame. So you don't have you could probably cut it to size, but you might take the risk of having a little bit of it show there. So I always just trim it down maybe 1/8 of an inch, if even 1/16 of an inch. Just enough to be hidden behind your frame. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to bring in, since I'm not at my workspace, a piece of wax paper. And all I'm using this for is to keep control of the mess. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So we have our little piece of watercolor paper. And we have a water spritzer bottle. And I have the Prussian blue. Apparently I'm not going to pronounce things right today, so feel free to correct me. And I'm going to use just a touch of the moss green, because that moss green will pull in our gold a little bit. So what we're going to do, when you get your Brushos, they come in these little containers. I've had these ever since they came out, and it's very full. So when you get your container, just take a push pin, because this is a very fine powder. Take a push pin and just put it in the lid. And now you have a shaker, and it's also sealed up closed. So we're going to take our push pins out here. Now I like to start with sprinkling it on my cardstock. Now sometimes it's hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little. A little bit goes a really long way. It'll look like you don't have much on there, but as soon as you hit it with water, you're going to see there's quite a bit on there. So I'm just going to tap it a couple times and be frugal with it, because you can always add more. It's harder to take it away than it is to add it. Now I'm going to add just a couple spots of the green. So we'll put one there and maybe put one there. And then we're going to spritz it, and the magic begins. I usually, even though it's all over my hands, I use a little pair of tweezers just to try to move it around a little bit. Okay, so I want a couple more dark blue spots, so I'm just going to tap a little bit on there. And you can take a paper towel, kind of dab up your excess a little bit if you wanted to. So just Gonna move this around a little bit more, let it activate the crystals that I didn't spritz. You want some dark and some light, so don't want to move it too terribly much because it will just kind of turn muddy. If it picks up some off the edge there, that's perfectly fine. We're going to let it do that. I'll clean up a little of this. And if you just tap the edges a little bit of your cardstock, it'll draw off if you have an area that's too dark. I want just a little bit dark right here. Just add a tiny little spritz of water. Shift it around. Now to add for the gold, while that's wet, I took my gold, Vegas Gold Shimmer paint. Comes in a little bottle like this. Shake it up. And I create, when I get my shimmer paints, I take a little spritzer and I add about 3/4 full of just regular rubbing alcohol. Drop just a couple drops of the shimmer paint into the spritzer, and then I have automatic shimmer paint spritzers. And what I'm going to do, because the alcohol, the way it's going to react with this water will cause it to feather. So we're just going to add a couple little spritzes of this. Take our tweezers again and let that gold create ribbons. Okay. And as it dries, you'll see it the alcohol separates just a little bit from the water. Now I'm going to hit this with the heat tool just a little to speed it up a little and get rid of some of my big pools. And you can use your heat tool to shift your water pools too. See how it's moving it around? I've got a little splotchy area here, so I'm just going to tap it a little with water. You can use your towel if you have too much pooling. Just barely tap it. Oops. And I want to add just a little more gold feathering to this. So I'm going to go into the pools of water. And I'm not even going to shift it. I'm actually going to use the heat tool to move it around. Isn't that pretty? It's kind of hard to see up with the camera as much as you can in person. This would look really pretty done on glossy cardstock too. Don't worry about your paper wrinkling. I'm going to show you a trick I found for that. And I see that I'm a little bit light right there, so if you can just keep adding or taking away, when you add water, you can dab it and it'll lift the color. I'm going to add just a little bit more blue right here. Only a couple of, see how it goes a long way. I wanted the dark blue to accent those gold feathers. We'll hit it with our heat tool. See how it separates from the water? I've been doing this most of the morning, that's why I'm covered in it. I'm going to let those run. It's just going to add accent. Oh, that went under my wax paper. Oh. It's okay, it'll come right up. Use my heat tool to dry my paper. Look how when it dries, you've got just that touch of green in there and these really beautiful gold ribbons. You could probably do it with the other shimmer paints too. I would think the rose on this blue, the rose gold shimmer paint would look really pretty too. So we're pretty much dry there. You're going to want this piece to dry all the way. And I'm going to show you what I found. And I've had it for years in my craft room. I'm going to move this out of the way. Wipes right up. So what I have is I went to, I don't know, Walmart, wherever, and I found, let me zoom out for you a little bit. I found this little itty bitty iron, just a little thing. It's about the size of my hand, has non-stick on it, and you can use it with steam or not steam. I use it a lot when I do like wax paper resist, or if I have a watercolor paper that, see how wrinkled this is? Show you how we fix that. We take a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to lay it on there. Let's do it on the back side first. We're going to actually just iron that little. Flip it over. And since it's non-stick, it's not going to pick up anything, or you just wipe it right off. And it finishes drying the sheet for me so that I can work with it right away. So a lot of times when I'm doing watercolor, I will use my iron to flatten something out. You can also use it if you saw my last video with foils, deco foils. This little iron will work in the place of a laminator. Just place your sheet between two wax papers and you have your high heat on here for your deco foil, and that way you don't have to invest in a separate machine, a laminating machine. There we go, look at that. It's all flat. Set that aside. And now we'll bring in our Stamparatus. Pardon me. I could have put a clean sheet on here, huh? If I'm going to do a video, you would think I'd... But you know what? You're going to see. When I craft, I'm obviously messy, but I have fun. And that's what it's all about. Let's have fun. So let's figure out where we want to put our dandelion. So the easiest way to do that is take your frame. Look how pretty that came out with the gold leaves in there. I guess you would call them ribbons, ribbons of gold. So we're going to take this, and I really think I want this lighter area up in my corner. So I'm going to take my frame and kind of just lay it in place, and then take my stamp, and that way I'll know where I want my stamped image. So So we'll lay our image about like that, because I want the wish to go here. So we'll put that in place, pick up our stamp, and then we can move our frame out of the way. I'm going to add another magnet just so it doesn't move. Yes, I break my magnets all the time. I get them too close together and they snap. So we're going to take our Embossing Buddy, because I white embossed this dandelion on here. I'm just going to lightly hit it with my Embossing Buddy so I don't get too much white overspray. Put my pins back in my Brushos. Brusho. Maybe I'll make up my own name for it. So I can't seem to get it right. I probably am making up my own name. So we're going to take our Versamark, ink up our stamp. I find when you're using your Stamparatus, if you either put an ink pad underneath it or just hold your hand behind your stamp, it seems to ink it, you know, instead of it flexing, because this will flex just a little bit. So we're going to stamp our image. And since this is water paper and a coarse paper, I'm going to Versamark it just one more time. Okay, remove it. We're just going to use white embossing powder. Can't even see where it is, but we'll find out here in a second. That's why I love embossing, is why I got into stamping. I went to a class and I had never even heard of stamping before, and the instructor did some heat embossing. I came home, told my husband I found a new craft, I'm hooked. And it was simply that, just heat embossing, the ooh and the ah of heat embossing. And always close your lid. It was about the time you hit your container with the heat tool, you'll remember to put your lid on. Been there, done that. Watch it as it develops. It does take watercolor paper, it seems, a little bit longer to melt your embossing powder because it's a thicker paper. Plus you just had it all wet. Okay, and then I use my Versamark marker because I wanted my stem to come all the way down. Just take my marker, extend my line down. You don't have to. It's just something I thought would look better if we did. I'm going to heat set that. I had somebody ask me about this Versamark marker. You get them right on Amazon or any craft site. It's got a feather edge and a fine tip edge, and you can do it like your other markers. Pull the tip out and put Versamark refill in it if you want. They're inexpensive. I have half a dozen of them. Okay, see? Just that white and the gold and the blue just really kind of caught me. So now we're going to take our frame and our base. I need my belt folder. So make sure we got a crisp fold. And I usually just glue down this one first because I want my frame popped up. You can use whatever adhesive you prefer. If you're using this thicker watercolor paper, I would suggest either your fast fuse or glue. The regular tape, because this has been wet, and it still may have just a little bit of a wrinkle to it from being wet. With the glue and the fast fuse, you can make sure it's down flat. I usually just take my bone folder and burnish the edges of it to make sure it's flat. And then we're going to use our, as soon as I find what I did with them, adhesive strips. I like using the adhesive strips, foam strips. You could do individual dimensionals on your frames, but I like my frame to be solid. So pick the right side of it. And then just run your adhesive strips. Oops, I have a little scrap one there. I don't like to piece together in the middle of a line. Not really sure why. I suppose you could. I just don't do it for some reason. Maybe it's one of those OCD things. I do a lot of framed ones, so peel off here. Oops, it looks like I got a little bit of something under there. I probably need stock in these foam strips. I do so many framed. I don't know, it just seems to. And then we're just gonna line it up. I pick my top two corners, and once those are even, when you lay it down, just go from top to bottom. And there's your frame. Look how elegant that white frame pulls out the gold in that. And then I was going to do like happy wishes, but I really didn't want to cover up this background too much. So all I did is I cut out my wishes, and then I'm just going to trim off the ES. On these words, you can use your scissor two-sided adhesive on your sheets, and then it saves you from doing this whole little glue dot thing. But I'm kind of just as fast at this as I am adding a little bit goes a long way. So let's put this about right. And then there's a little dot to my eye here somewhere over on my desk. So I usually just put a little tiny dab of glue where I want it. I can get my glue to come out. There we go. So look how simple that was. Voila! You can do anything with this background. Oh, if you did like a rose with the background, it would look really pretty. So there you go. That was a quick and simple. And then on my, oh, I got ink on my card here. I just put a little dandelion on the inside. There you go. There was your quick and simple card for the day. Be sure to stop by my store. I will have all the lists of the items used in this in my online store. And stay tuned. New catalogs coming. That means lots of new projects I'll be sharing. So you can have a heads up on what you might want to order. I hope you have a happy stamping day and enjoyed today's card. Bye.